preview of if we have any MA1s coming on board, and I let both the RN coordinator and the ambulatory nurse manager know that they've got an MA1 coming on board and they need to make sure they get in this class. And Joni will be starting this class for Utah Valley and the rurals in October also. So she'll be teaching this same class. The Southwest is not yet starting it. They have 4 programs in St. George, and so they don't really hire MA1s, except that right now they have 2 MA1s, so I'm getting them to tell me how they're onboarding and how they're gonna train them. And Logan is in kind of the same thing. They have a really good output of people from their schools up there. Now, one of the things we're looking at doing, and it will not replace this class, because we're just not putting out enough MA graduates from our programs. One reason is they're so darned expensive that they don't make enough money to pay them back for what they're paying for their schooling. And it's just not something people choose to go into. You know, if I'm only gonna make this amount of money, I'll go work at McDonald's or whatever. But we have a grant, and I'm hoping that by January, it may not be immediately in January, but we're partnering with MATC to have 10 people, we will pay their way to go through MA school. And it's an 8-month course, and they still have to work so many hours a week for Intermountain to go in that program. It'll be just like the nurse residency programs where we have a group that went through Salt Lake Community College, and we're doing that again starting next year. So they have to fulfill their contract with Intermountain or pay us back for the program. So that'll help, but it won't take the place of this class.
Who's the partner?
MTC at the point of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
And that will be both for the greater Salt Lake area and for Utah Valley, because Utah Valley hurts also for MAs. Anything else that I can help you with? I'll be here, I'll help you, but I want you guys to be familiar with what you're training when you come in and talk. 90% of this is lecturing. Okay? You give them stories. Tell them, they remember things. I tell them stories all the time about things that have happened to me over the years. I tell them about my own personal experiences of when I messed up, because trust me, after 45 years you mess up. I tell them my story about oxygen, where I was the one who dropped an oxygen tank and it torpedoed down the hallway at LDS Hospital and went through a door. I tell them about these things. Learn from my mistakes. I tell them about giving a wrong medication and what it did to me and how I felt. Didn't cause any harm to the patient, but it sure caused a lot to my psyche. I tell them about, learn from other people's mistakes. That's why we share these events that have happened. It's not to say, oh, so-and-so, they're so bad, do you know what they did? That's not why we do it. And we don't do our I reports for that reason either. We do that so that we learn from our mistakes and we improve. And I reiterate that throughout this course. I want them to be able to say, I made a mistake, own up to it, and have the integrity to say, I did this wrong, help me. What can I do now?
How are you recording these? Are these recorded in their LMS?
It's recorded in LMS, and when they sign up, so there's a sign-up sheet to register them in Teams. There's one for 2018, and then there's a brand new one for 2019. And when they're on that list, I set them up in the class. And one of the reasons I want them on that before they get actually put online is I'm double checking that they're not a PSR, that they are officially an MA1, because that's part of our protocol now. Their manager pays for their time while they're in this class. They just punch in normally as if they're working.
Here they punch, or where are the classes?
There's a time clock just down the hall.
Okay.
So they punch in normally, in and out for this class. Their manager pays for their time. Your managers are paying for your time for training. That may change come the beginning of the year if we actually get an education budget. So Tricia Martinez is looking into that. You may have to punch in as a trainer for education, so that she's actually paying your hours for this, but it'll be the same amount. It won't change at all. So that, if that changes, that will go in your facilitator guide. I'll make any changes as they occur so that you guys know that.
And then at the end, when it's completed, you're just sending that roll into it.
Yeah, at the end of each day, I just record them all at the end of the day, if they're there. It's really easy. So if I'm not here, then yes, you would send it into MG Education and they'll record it.
Okay.
What happens if you have someone in your class that can't make it day?
Okay, good question. It depends on who the person is and what the clinic they work in and what they're missing. If they miss a day, I actually have them make it up during the next class, which means you might have an odd number one day in your next class. But I feel like they need all the information enough that it's worthwhile to make them come back to another class. I had one person miss the very first day in this last class, but it was when we still had 5 days. And as somebody who he's not only worked as a CNA, he's also worked as a paramedic. So he had a lot behind him and he really just needed to learn clinic flow. And so I didn't feel like missing, teaching blood pressure and vital signs and that type of stuff was gonna hurt him that much. But from now on, I've told managers with this 4 days, I feel like it's really important. If somebody is sick or they have a sick child and they call me, I just let them know you're gonna come to this class next time, because I've tried to make it so each day focuses on specific things, so they'll catch up. It'll just take a little while. Okay?
So do you communicate that to the manager that if they missed a class?
Yes, I do. And I let them know what day the following month or the following class that they'll need to be able to come to this class. And the email goes to the manager and to the students so that they know. I keep track of those. Luckily, it really hasn't happened. I had one person that was in a car accident on her way to class one day, and her husband came and took over for her, and she made it to class. So she missed like the first hour. So I didn't make her make that.
So the 4th day is when you're doing medication administration, so until
Yeah,
they finish that 4th
started-
day, they're
I
not
s-
able to do them in the,
I started on day 3, because day 3 is when we start talking about medical math. And I also on day 3, I have them practice things like if you've got to add a diluent to something, I just have my little bottles of NS, and this bottle is going to be our diluent and this is going to be our meds, and I teach them how to do that. I also teach them, we do scanning both on day 3 and day 4. So really, day 3 and day 4 are both medication administration. But day 3 is the one where we do this one, and we do medical math, and I do make them make that. Day 4 is all day long playing with injections and shots and scenarios of different things, and then all afternoon, we do a lot of different scenarios. We catch up with our worksheets, and we haven't done those. And it's kind of a overall review of everything we've learned. So I go through my overall objectives and I ask, how many of you feel like this class has been helpful to you as far as gaining confidence in your role? I have some who, when they come in here, they are so quiet and I worry about them and they don't participate much. I tell them from the word go, day 1, you'll get out of this class what you put into it. If you come here and sit like a bum on a log and you don't participate in any of our activities, you don't participate when we're doing our questions and answering and stuff, you're not going to learn anything. You might as well forget even being here. The more you participate and the more you're active in class with us, the more you're going to get out of this class. And really, by day 2, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I had one that it took the full time till the very last day. And it was like she suddenly came out of her shell and started participating. And she's been one that I've kept in touch with that decided she's going to go to nursing school. She wants to go to nursing school, and so she quit her job so she could go to the U and get some more education under her belt. So, which is our ultimate goal, is to help them grow. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want them to feel guilty if they don't stay in MA their whole life.
So do they have to sign an agreement that they stay for a certain amount of time?
We looked into that, and Stephanie McEwen is looking into that with legal. But right now, they do not have to sign anything for staying. Initially, we were gonna have them sign an agreement with their manager that they would have to work a minimum of 1 year after taking this class. But, we decided we weren't gonna do that.
You'll probably have to do that.
We need them.
You have to do that with people that you're gonna pay for.
The,
Right.
the ones that are going to an actual, yeah, they have to apply for it,
Yeah.
and they have to sign a written agreement that they will continue to work for Intermountain for a certain length of time.
So talk about how the leader does, how the leader takes care of the room during the day and then the teachers come and go.
Okay, so the lead, I'm here by 7:15 in the morning. The doors are locked, you have to knock on the door. The building doors don't open till 7. And then this door doesn't officially unlock till 8 o'clock. But they're used to me being here every Wednesday, I just knock on the door. Sometimes they've propped it open for me. Because I usually bring a bag of ice or something to put over the pup, so it's fairly cold for them and that type of stuff. If I need to, you know, replenish snacks or something, I bring that with me. The day you need oranges, I'll bring those with me, that type of stuff. But then I make sure, like the first day, the very first day, I have their books at each site, I have an evaluation sheet at each site, I have the student information paperwork at each place for them to fill out and turn into me. And I have the name card, the tent cards, and then I put out markers for them. I just let them use the water markers to put their names on the cards. And I write on the board, feel free to help yourself to drinks, snacks, whatever as you come in, sit where you want, you know. And if you want, on the very first day, in my other classes I've done this, I have a questionnaire that's got like 20 questions on it, that you go to a different person for every question, and I include the teachers in that. So it's things like, where were you born, where'd you go to high school, you know, what's your favorite movie, favorite book, all those kind of things, so they can have something to do while because it takes people, the first day people are gonna be late. This place is not the easiest to find, no matter how clear I think my instructions are. For you guys, when you teach, there's very limited parking on this level.